People love to say things like hard work always pays off, but nobody tells you how many times you'll be laughed at before it ever does. The night everything changed for me, I was standing in the lobby of a luxury hotel in downtown Seattle wearing a jacket I'd owned since my wedding, holding my daughter's hand while a man in a tailored suit looked me up and down and decided I didn't belong there. You know that look? The one that says you're already judged, already dismissed before you've even opened your mouth. Yeah, that was the night. My name's Luke Carter. I'm a carpenter. Not the Pinterest kind, not the Instagram kind. I work with my hands, real wood-old buildings, busted staircases. Jobs most people don't notice until something breaks. I didn't go to college, couldn't afford it. My wife passed away 3 years ago, cancer fast and unfair, and since then, it's just been me and my daughter, Ellie. She's 7, way too observant, way too kind for this world, and the reason I keep going when everything in me wants to quit. That night, I'd promised her a real Christmas dinner. Not fast food, not microwave stuff. Just one nice thing. We were supposed to eat at a little diner a few blocks away, but it was packed line out the door. Ellie saw the hotel lights across the street and said, "Daddy, that place looks magical." So we walked in. Big mistake, at least that's what I thought at the time. The hostess glanced at me, then at Ellie, then back at me. "Reservations only tonight," she said, already turning away. I tried to explain, but she cut me off. That's when Ellie slipped her hand out of mine and walked right past the rope straight toward a woman sitting alone near the window. Older woman, elegant, wheelchair, a table full of untouched food. Before I could stop her, Ellie said loud enough for half the room to hear, "Hi. Are you okay?" "You look sad." I froze. The room froze. My heart dropped into my stomach. I rushed over apologizing, ready to drag Ellie away and disappear. But the woman smiled. Not polite smiled, real smiled, the kind that cracks something open. That woman's name was Eleanor Whitmore. I didn't know it then, but she was one of the most powerful real estate executives on the West Coast. I just knew she looked lonely, and somehow she saw us the same way. Ellie told her nobody should be alone on Christmas. Eleanor laughed, then cried, then invited us to sit. I tried to say no. Pride's a stupid thing, but it's loud. Eleanor didn't let me refuse. "Please," she said. "I don't want to eat alone." So we stayed. We talked. We laughed. Ellie drew pictures on napkins. Eleanor listened. Really listened. Not like someone waiting their turn to talk. Like someone who hadn't been heard in a long time. That dinner didn't just change my Christmas, it changed my life. A week later, Eleanor called me. She asked if I'd ever considered working on large-scale restoration projects. I laughed. People like me don't get calls like that. Turns out she'd looked into my work. The small jobs. The historic repairs I'd done off the books. The custom pieces I sold to keep the lights on. She offered me a position at her company. Not charity. A real job. Real responsibility, real money. I almost said no. That's what being underestimated does to you. You start underestimating yourself. I accepted. And that's when the real fight began. On my first day, I walked into a glass-walled boardroom filled with people who had degrees that cost more than my house. One man, the CFO, his name was Grant Holloway, didn't even bother hiding his smirk. "So, you're the carpenter," he said. "Interesting choice." Eleanor shut that down fast, but the message was clear. I wasn't welcome. Every meeting felt like a test I wasn't supposed to pass. Grant questioned everything. My timelines, my budgets, my experience. He'd interrupt me mid-sentence, rephrase my ideas, then ask the room if anyone else had real expertise. Once he said, "We're not running a trade school here," while looking directly at me. I smiled, nodded, went home and stared at the ceiling, wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. Ellie noticed. Of course she did. Kids always do. One night, she said, "Daddy, why do those people make you feel small?" I didn't have an answer. She thought for a second, then said, "Mommy said small people yell, big people build." I laughed. Then I went back to work. I worked harder than I ever had. 16-hour days. researching blueprints from the 1920s, learning zoning laws, sitting in meetings where I wasn't wanted and speaking anyway. I hired apprentices from neighborhoods no one else recruited from, people who were hungry, people who knew what it meant to be overlooked. The project started moving faster, cheaper, better. That's when Grant got louder. He accused me of cutting corners, demanded audits, tried to freeze my budget. Then, one afternoon, he cornered me alone. "You don't belong here," he said quietly. "This is Eleanor's emotional mistake, and when she steps aside, you're gone." I went home sick to my stomach. The night Eleanor collapsed. Hospital, stress, exhaustion. Grant told me I should resign. Said I was hurting her, that my presence was a liability. I almost believed him. Then Ellie got sick. Fever. Bad one. I sat by her bed all night holding her hand, listening to her breathe. She woke up and said, half asleep, "Daddy, don't let mean people decide who you are." And something clicked. I realized quitting wouldn't protect Eleanor. It would prove Grant right. It would teach Ellie the wrong lesson. So I stayed. The project finished early, under budget. The building reopened to press city officials, historians. Eleanor spoke. She told the story. About Christmas. About chances. About how talent doesn't come with a zip code or a diploma. Grant sat there stone-faced. Then the board voted. Grant was out. Not fired, but powerless. His influence gone. The room changed overnight. People looked at me differently. Not with pity, with respect. That night I went home, opened a letter I'd been ignoring for months. Medical debt. Final notice. Balance 0. Eleanor had paid it quietly. No speech, no credit, just a note. Nobody carries everything alone. Here's the part people argue about. Some say I got lucky. Some say it was favoritism. Some say the system still worked because I worked within it. I don't know. What I do know is this. I was judged before I spoke, dismissed before I acted, and still I showed up. Every day. Eleanor didn't save me. She saw me. There's a difference. So here's my question to you. How many people have you written off because they didn't look right, sound right, come from the right place? How many chances do we never give because of our own comfort? Was it fair that I got that opportunity? Or was it unfair that so many others never do? Tell me what you think. Argue with me. Share a story you've lived or witnessed. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The most dangerous thing in the world isn't failure. It's being invisible.